Okay. First off, in this particular video, we would like to say all praises to Ahaya Bahashim Yeshaya, who have bestowed upon the Gathering of Christ Church information to give our brothers and sisters in these times. And we praise Ahaya in the name of his son Yeshaya, Rawak, the Holy Spirit. All right. We'll answer questions in one moment. I know I said we were going to go into the tribe of Dan, but there's still some fragmented information we must put together first. I apologize. It's a lot that we must put together based on what's going on with Dan. Every time we go into it and think that it's finished, more information comes. But the lesson we're going to go into links directly to Dan. To sum it up for the information that you'll get in the future, tracking Dan. This is what we have so far in tracking Dan. So you'll understand where we are. When we go into the lesson, we can bring this forth. What we have in history tracking Dan is that right after 721 BC, if you want to go into tracking Dan, you must first go into the split of the northern kingdom after the sins of Solomon. Remember, we went into the split of the kingdom during our main Hebrew Academy in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. Right after that, after there was no more northern kingdom, the Assyrians took us down, Dan assumed a priesthood over the northern kingdom, and that is written of in the book of Judges. Now, after that happened, Dan went and built temples to Ashtoreth and different gods against the Most High. Lineage-wise, before then, to understand, so you can understand what Dan did, during the time of Solomon, Hiram-Abith was sent to help him build the temple, to design and help with the temple. Hiram was from the tribe of Dan. When we came out of Egypt, the same things that to dress the inside of the temple. When we came out of Egypt, Judah had a part and would eventually been kings. You had Aaron, which was priesthood, and you had the Danites who did certain designs within the temples. And with these designs, the Most High would connect with the priesthood, the priest in the temple. So to understand the power of Dan, Dan dealt with symbology and different types of structure in which spirits would come into buildings. That was one of Dan's gifts. Later on down the line, Dan linked in, took over certain parts of the Phoenician Empire and became Ithbiel, the king of Tyre. Later, after that, under the king of Tyre, Ithbiel, there was a daughter named Jezebel who was married into the kings to destroy Israel from the inside. So now Dan became an enemy of the children of Israel, and Jezebel was from the tribe of Dan. When it tell you that an adder would bite Israel in the way, in our path to follow the Most High. So Dan became an enemy of Israel. Ithbiel, the king Ithbiel, was from the tribe of Dan when you read in Ezekiel, the king of Tyre and Zidon. Now, we know Hiram-Abith, according to esoteric teachings, are over the Masonic order, or the Masons. He's one of the master builders within the Masonry. So there was no way the Roman Empire could have ruled unless they had the information Dan would give them of how to build constructs in which spirits would be trapped within that confound for them to control and take down empires. Hence, the religions. You got the Roman religions, which is the ancient Babylonian religions, and you had what you would call the Greek Orthodox churches, which were primarily set up by Dan in certain areas of old Phoenicia, like Lebanon, like Tyre, like Zidon. These are all Danite areas and establishments that they were in league with the Roman Empire to take us down. And that's why they're not established as a kingdom anymore. Now, once the Roman Empire assumed their position under the Khazar power, they began to attack Dan's power. So Dan was double-crossed by the Romans, and they're being attacked as we speak. All right? So they double-crossed their brother, and now the people they were in league with, which is Edom, are now double-crossing them. And we're going to go into those details of who Dan is predominantly in the earth today and spread in certain areas. But also Dan went into, there was a faction of Dan that went into Europe. When you look at Denmark, that was the tribe of Dan. Also, the Spartans, they were tribes of Dan. Okay, living in Greece, living near the Greek area. Okay, and even in Africa, there are certain places we set up in Africa, the lands of Tunisia, parts near Somalia, Sudan. Eritrea is a Danite colony, was colonized by Danites, whom the Romans tried to fight against in parts of Africa, called the Battle of Carthage. All right, so we were able to track Dan up until today, but putting all the information and what happens to Dan in a orchestrated lesson. The lesson is going to take around 3-4 hours just to do. So we have to do it in fragments. And what I may do, I'm thinking about it, I may do it similar to how I did from Babylon, Rome to America. There was so much information in Babylon, Rome to America that we had to make it, 22 separate parts of 10-minute increments. It was so long, 10 to 15-minute increments. So I may have to record the whole thing out within a space of 3 or 4 hours and then reveal it all together instead of doing it within a class setting, because there's so much information. Now, where do Dan stand today? Dan does not stand as a children of Israel. They stand as Gentiles. They're counted as Gentiles. They are not Israelites at all. Based on their agreement with Satan, they received an empire during the times of the Gentiles, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So they're in their power right now. The Greek Orthodox Church are ran by Danites. The people of Lebanon, the majority of them are Danites. Some of the people that are suffering in Syria right now are Danites. And when you look at all the coasts around the Mediterranean, near the coast, the majority of them are Danites. So, but that's a lesson we're going to deal with within ourselves. I mean, in the future. It's so much information that, we just have to tackle it in increments, okay? So if you have any questions about the information we have so far, of course, I'll be willing to answer those questions after the class. But that's my introduction to what you will see when the lesson of Dan come forth. It's diverse, you understand, and it's much history that goes with it. When the Bible talks about the king of Tyre, Dan started dealing directly with Satan. After we fell, they helped build those temples of Ashtoreth and all those temples that were in the northern kingdom, where the Gentiles are worshiping right now, and which spirits would come in. Dan taught them how to do all that. Why? Because Dan was part of the construct of the original temple. The temple that angels used to go into and that the Most High would come in. They needed that type of technology to trap spirits on the left-hand side, to use them for information. All right? So, I know I hope I'm not over some of your head with this information, but that's where we stand with that. All right? But the lesson I'm going into tonight links directly to everything I'm saying. And this lesson hit so deep a few years ago that when we put this out, right after we put this lesson out, they canceled our Justin TV page strictly for this information. So I figured that since it's nowhere, you can't find it on YouTube, you can't find it anywhere, you can't find it on Justin TV no more after they canceled the account, I thought that we would actually go into it right now. And it's called Satan's seat, which means we know exactly where the powers are worshiping Satan. We know where his seat is, and we know what people are worshiping him every day. And I'm going to go into that and show you that Christ identified it so that we'll know where Satan's seat is and what will happen to that. I think about about a year and a half ago, there was this wonder in heaven. When I say heaven, when you look out into the skies, that's heaven. So about a year and a half ago, Satan did a little trick, and I would say a wonder in heaven, in which at the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, there was a light show. And with this light show, it showed a chariot shoot from the top of the Dome of the Rock out so that all could see. Here's a picture of the area or the Dome of the Rock. Here's a picture of this. Now this location is prominent. I'm going to talk about this in a moment. Right? There was a night show in which you've seen a so-called UFO shoot from the pinnacle of the temple and shot up in the air. And if you don't believe it, go on YouTube and type in UFO Dome of the Rock. Okay? And some people don't know what that was about. I'm going to bring that around full circle today. Last Academy class, we went into the timeline, which was a detailed lesson. And I thought I'll go into this because it links directly to what we're speaking of concerning Dan. If you don't understand this, you're not going to understand what's going on with Dan when we bring that out. Now let's go into Christ's words concerning Tyre and Zidon. Let's go to Luke, the 10th chapter. Go ahead.
St. Luke, chapter 10, verse 11. Even that very dust of your city, which cleaveth on us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, be ye sure of this, that the kingdom of the Most High is come nigh unto you. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable in that day for Sodom than for that city.
It says it will be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah. And you know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? The Most High rained down fire. It's going to be more tolerable for Tyre. Read.
And that day for Sodom than for that city.
Than for Sodom than that city. So Christ is saying that that particular city will be destroyed by fire. Future prophecy. Document that. Read.
Verse 13. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works had been done in Tyre and Zidon, which have been done in you, they had a great while ago repented, sitting in sackcloth and ashes. But it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted to heaven.
Hold up, thou what?
Thou, Capernaum.
Thou Capernaum, that have exalted from heaven. Listen to this, what the sign that Christ has given us in detail. Yeshua is given us in detail. Thou Capernaum, document that. Capernaum, underline that. Thou Capernaum,
Which are exalted to heaven.
which have exalted to heaven. Go ahead.
Shall be thrust down to hell.
Shall be thrust down to where?
To hell.
Shall be thrust down to hell. Now, what I need you all to do, matter of fact, I'll do it here real quick here. What does it say for Capernaum?
Capernaum was a fishing village in the time of the Hasmoneans, located on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee.
Located on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. Right? Now, whose seat is at Capernaum? What seat is at Capernaum? Go back where it says Satan's seat. Capernaum.
Says, verse 13. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works have been done in Tyre and Sidon, which have been done in you,
Go ahead.
they had a great while ago repented, sitting in sackcloth and ashes.
Go ahead.
But it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the judgment than for you.
Go ahead.
And thou, Capernaum,
Thou Capernaum.
which art exalted to heaven.
Why does it say exalted to heaven? Hold that and get Isaiah.
Isaiah chapter 14.
Hold that. Hold Isaiah 14 and get Matthew 11 and 23. Read Matthew 11 and 23.
St. Matthew chapter 11 verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven.
Which are exalted unto heaven. What does that mean? We'll show you. Read.
Shall be brought down to hell.
Shall be brought down to where?
To hell.
Don't forget, when Christ returns, Satan will be bound with chains into hell. Read.
For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day.
Now hold that and let's go back to Isaiah 14, where it says exalted unto heaven. This is giving you a geographical location where the spirit Satan, who's controlling the Illuminati in the world, lives. Where he exists. Read.
Isaiah chapter 14 verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
That shows you that Satan promised to go to the heavens. He exalted himself unto heaven. So what was Christ giving us in Luke and Matthew? A geographical location of the Causos Lord, where he resided. I'm going to show you. So Christ knew exactly where Satan would be sitting in the last days. We're going to show you where he was before Capernaum and how he got to where we call the Dome of the Rock today. Read.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I will be like who?
Like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. Read.
Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell.
He's going to be brought to hell. Read.
To the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying,
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon the fallen one and say what?
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Is this the man that made the whole earth fearful? They're going to look at this fallen spirit and say, is this that man? Look at him. He's nothing. But it was his wisdom and his knowledge of how to get man to serve him by eating the tree of good and evil. That trick is the psychology he used to make the whole earth to tremble. The same thing he did to Adam, he does to us all the time. It's the same trick. But when Christ finally revealed this guy, the whole world's going to look. It was this little guy, him. Read.
Verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Read.
That did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness,
That made the world as a wilderness,
and destroyed the cities thereof.
and destroyed the cities thereof. He's behind all the wars and the destruction you see right now. The Khazars are only going along with his program, with his blueprint. But he's the mastermind. He's giving them the technology to do what you see. He's letting them know where there's different elements in the earth they can go in and dig and get this or that to be used as weaponry. It's him. He was there during the creation. Now there's more. Let's go back. So we know where Satan's seat is. Capernaum, Tyre, and Zidon. And where? That's where the Dome of the Rock is located. That is the location of the Dome of the Rock, off the coast of Tyre. So Christ is letting you know this is where Satan's seat is today. That's where he's going to judge them. It's going to rain down on this like Sodom and Gomorrah very soon. All right? But let's go one further. Where was he before he came over with them? Now, Christians are not the only people who give homage to Satan's seat right here in Jerusalem. Muslims worship the same temple. This is definitely Satan's seat. Christians and Muslims alike have the same God. Let's go one further. Let's go to the book of Revelations.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 12.
Go ahead.
And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write.
Now listen to what Christ tells us concerning the angel of Pergamos. Now, where is Pergamos? If you do your research and look this up, brothers and sisters, Pergamos is modern day Turkey. Turky. Right? To the angel of the church of Pergamos. So we actually had a church. One of the 7 original churches of Christ was set up in Turkey. Where whose seat is?
These things saith he with the sharp sword with 2 edges. I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is.
Even where Satan's seat is. So that's letting us know that during the time that Christ was writing, when John was writing through the Spirit of Christ in the book of Revelations, Satan's seat was in Pergamos. Now that was before where he would end up during the last judgment, in which the fire would rain on him and eventually he would be bound, which is where he is now. Now, here's more than a coincidence, brothers and sisters. The same people who are in Israel today are the same people who were in Pergamos, the Khazars. So when they went over into Israel, they went with their Lord. I'm going to show you this. Their Lord eventually was set up over there, and they went there. The Khazars are worshiping at this same temple, worshiping the same God they worship in Turkey. Pergamos, where whose seat is?
Where Satan's seat is.
Where Satan's seat is, read.
And thou holdest fast my name. And
it says, the church of Pergamos was known for doing what?
And thou holdest fast my name.
They were known for holding fast the Most High's name in the church during the same area of Pergamos. So while our brothers were in the church of Pergamos upholding the Most High's name, in the same country, the Jewish powers were worshiping the Tetragrammaton. Read.
And has not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas, my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth.
So they even destroyed Antipas, a righteous brother who was in Pergamos, was slain by these Satan worshippers in Pergamos at that time where Satan's seat was. Can we put Satan's seat of Pergamos during the same time of the Khazars? Absolutely. Where is this? Pergamos is Turkey. I want you to read this real quick. When it says Khazars, and I got this off of Wikipedia, brothers and sisters. What does it say right here? Khazars were what?
It says the Khazars were semi-nomadic.
Were semi-nomadic.
Turkic people.
Turkic people. Look it up. Pergamos is Turkey, brothers and sisters.
Who established one of the largest polities of medieval Eurasia, with the capital of Atil, and territory comprising much of modern-day European Russia. Western
Hold up, European what?
Russia.
Yes, they're Khazars too. Read.
Western Kazakhstan, Eastern Ukraine.
Ukraine. Go ahead.
Azerbaijan. Large portions of the northern Caucasus.
See that? The Caucasus Mountains.
Parts of Georgia and the Crimea.
So what they do is they play both sides. They make you think there's a disagreement between America and Russia when really it's good cop, bad cop. The Jewish powers are controlling both sides. And that's where Satan's seat was originally, in Turkey. The word Khazar comes from Caesar. That's what the word Khazar comes from. So once we took them down in 193 AD, they ran into Khazaria and they stayed there where Satan's seat is. And received the plan of the New World Order that they would assume once our empire would fall in Europe. There's more. This story was published September 21st, 2008. And immediately after this story was published, that I'm about to give you here, it was shuffled under the rug and no one ever spoke of it again. There was news that the Khazar capital was discovered and unearthed in 2008. Moscow News. Moscow's News. What did they find here? A Russian archaeologist.
It says a Russian archaeologist says he found the lost capital of the Khazars.
He found the lost capital of the Khazars, read.
A powerful nation that adopted Judaism.
A powerful nation that adopted Judaism, so they're not Jews by birth. Read.
As its official religion more than 1,000 years ago, only to disappear, leaving little trace of its culture.
But they disappeared, leaving only little trace of their culture. Isn't that weird? The same areas in which Satan's seat was, the people disappeared. Huh. The ruins are there where Satan's seat used to be. But now they have assumed themselves in Jerusalem, and Satan's seat is at the Dome of the Rock. There's more. Read.
It says Dmitry Vasilyev, a professor at Astrakhan State University, said his 9-year excavation near the Caspian Sea has finally unearthed the foundations of a triangular fortress of flame brick, along with the modest yurt-shaped dwellings, and he believes these are part of what was once Atil, the Khazar capital.
The Khazar capital. They found the ruins in 2008. The story came out for about 3 days and no one ever heard of it again. Why? Because they got the power to just shuffle information out of the news. This wasn't small news, brothers and sisters. This was big. That opened up a can of worms that they didn't want to touch. That the capital of the Khazars were found. And if they were going to the burial grounds and do the DNA testing of the people who are buried there, and do the DNA testing compared to the Jewish people that are over there today, you will see they're the same people. Same people of Russia. They're all the same. They're from the hierarchy of the ancient Rome, the Caesar's families. I'm talking about the high political families. When Rome fell, a lot of them fled into these different areas. While we really did an overpopulation of Europe for a time, because they couldn't control our reprocreation once we began to rule during the Dark Ages. Like they do now. They control our reprocreation now. They control how many of us, they try to play God and control how many of us come into the earth, but that's a topic in itself. Let's stay with it. Go ahead.
It says by law, Khazars could use flame bricks only in the capital.
Go ahead.
Vasilyev said, the general location on the Silk Road was confirmed in medieval chronicles by Arab, Jewish, and European authors. The discovery of the capital of Eastern Europe's first feudal state is of great significance, he told the Associated Press. We should view it as a part of Russian history.
We should view it as a part of Russian history. And you notice that they try to hide themselves. I was mentioning this earlier today. Similar to when they say, well, the Russian mafia did this, or that's the Russian mafia. Nah, it's the Khazarian mafia. It's them. Why? In order for them to assume this mission, this onslaught on mankind, they must appear innocent through media. So they'll put it on everyone else except them when they're really the same people. Finish reading.
Kevin Brook, the author of The Jews of Khazaria, emailed Wednesday that he has followed the Atil dig over the years. And even though it has yielded no Jewish artifacts, now I'm as confident as the archaeological team is that they've truly found a long-lost city. The Khazars were a Turkic tribe.
They were a what tribe?
A Turkic tribe.
A Turkic tribe. Turkey is Pergamos, brothers and sisters, linking directly with the scriptures. So when the Most High, when Christ told us he know the blasphemy of them would say they are Jews and are not, and are the synagogue of Satan, he knew the people who would be worshiping at Satan's seat in Turkey. He knew their geographical location. So the Bible in itself is not only a spiritual book and a historical book, it's a geographical map of times in history. It pinpoints all nations in certain areas so that you can understand history, so you can understand prophecy. So this is Christ pointing out the synagogue of Satan and proving to you that Satan has a physical seat that he sit on, in which these people, in whom these people worship. More.
It says the Khazars were a Turkic tribe that roamed the steppes from northern China to the Black Sea.
From northern China to the Black Sea. Yes, a lot of brothers and sisters don't know this, but a lot of the Chinese, I'm talking about the European Greco babies, the Roman babies, a lot of them, believe it or not, stem from the Khazar Empire. The original Japhetic people, the strongest Japhetic people in that land, are dark-skinned, like the Mongols near the mountains of Russia. So you want to see how China have made themselves like unto Babylon? They have been infiltrated too. They're being controlled by Khazarians too. Those lighter-skinned Chinese over there are not the original Chinese. A lot of them. And they are in league with the eugenics program. They did it on a lot of their own people, or what we were told were their own people. You understand? And I wouldn't be surprised if they are a remnant of the Khazars who are depopulating us in China, in different parts of Asia. But that's a whole nother lesson in itself. But it's giving you a geographical location according to history of how far the Khazar Empire expanded. And I'm going to tell you, this lesson was so profound, we did it on Justin TV. 2 weeks later, they shut down the whole Justin TV when we brought forth the information. At the time, around the time the information of the capital of Khazaria came into the news. And we identified what Satan's seat was and what would happen according to the prophecies of that area. That's why we tell them, brothers and sisters, as much as we can, the brothers and sisters who have migrated into Israel, you better leave. It ain't going to be no time to be in Israel very soon. And especially our brothers over there who are near that nuclear plant in that Ben Ami camp. I think the Most High have done some great things with them. I mean, none of them have died of natural causes or any type of diseases or nothing. So I think the Most High doing something with them. But all in all, I mean, I think I'm not talking about the leader, because the leader is claiming that he's Christ. But I'm talking about the Most High have done something with the people and protected the people who didn't know better that's under that thing. Finish reading though. Go ahead.
It says between the 7th and 10th centuries, they conquered huge swaths of what is now southern Russia.
Southern Russia.
And Ukraine.
Ukraine.
The Caucasus Mountains.
The Caucasus Mountains.
And Central Asia as far as the Aral Sea.
And Central Asia as far as the Aral Sea. That's what the Khazarians conquered. Read.
It says Itil, about 800 miles south of Moscow.
This is what I want to show you here. Real quick. Read, the Khazar Empire was once a superpower.
It says the Khazar Empire was once a regional superpower, and Vasilyev said his team has found luxurious collections of well-preserved ceramics that help identify the cultural ties of the Khazar state with Europe, the Byzantine Empire, and even northern Africa. They also found armor, wooden kitchenware, glass lamps and cups, jewelry and vessels for transporting precious bombs, dating back to the 8th and 9th centuries, he said.
Now, here's the interesting part of this, brothers and sisters, and y'all might think this is weird, but it's all coming together. The Turks are not Christian. The Turks are what? The majority of them are Muslim. Now check that out. So they're working the Christian side, controlling that, and they're working the Muslim side, controlling that. But all in all, they're worshiping the same God. They're worshiping the same God at the same place. And when they look to convert our people, what happens? They get us to worship the same God on either side, be it Christian or Muslim. Let's go back to Revelations.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 12.
Go ahead.
And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write.
Go to 2 and 9.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. It says, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
First he identified the people. Then he identified the location of Pergamos, in which the people, from which the people would worship their God in Pergamos. What happened in 1948? These people went over there to continue to worship the God they once worshipped in Pergamos, Tyre and Zidon, the same area in which Christ says it would have been better for even Sodom and Gomorrah than for them. Why? Because that's where Satan is. Over a year and a half ago, about a year ago, you seen, a matter of fact, if you would like to, you can go to YouTube right now. Matter of fact, let me go there. You can go to YouTube as we speak. I don't want to lose none of that. Let's see. Keep some of that. I can always get this back. You can go to YouTube right now and type in, I'm going to type it as we speak, UFO, Dome of the Rock. Dome of the Rock. This just happened in 2011. And you can see go down to about the, go to the second option it gives you in Jerusalem. I'm there. January 28th, 2011 when this happened. Dome of the Rock, 1 a.m. in the morning, an hour after the witching hour. I wish there's a way I can share my screen for you. Go down to the second one, and there's an arrow pointing that says Dome of the Rock, Temple Mount. Now someone is speaking, you see a so-called chariot going down to the Dome of the Rock slowly, and someone is speaking Arabic in the background. And they're taping it.
Whoa!
And then you see a light flash, and they say, whoa, and it shoots up into the air. Okay? And if some of you, someone may, a guy in the background speaking Arabic. Now, if you go to this sighting on YouTube, you can see it, Jerusalem UFO 2011, the 3 true sightings in high definition. Type it in just like that. If this video falls on someone who's not in this class, do it yourself. Now don't forget, it tells you in the scriptures about the wonders how they're going to do wonders and do all these miracles to deceive the world. And it's talking about their technology. It links it directly to their technology. All right. Pergamos, where Satan's seat is, Turkey. And now he's at the Dome of the Rock, Tyre and Zidon. That's Satan's seat. That's where he is. He's physically there. Now, for the atheists that are out there who don't believe, why is it that this dome is exactly where where Christ said they would be? And what's going on with this technology of so-called UFOs that you can see with your own eyes? And I want to point this out for our brothers, sisters out there who are exalting some of these chariots that are out there, thinking they're the Most High's chariots. A lot of them are Satan's chariots, brothers and sisters. The majority of them you see are Satan's chariots. He's going to use them not only to war against us. He's going to use them in a battle, the final battle of Armageddon. Okay, let's go back there real quick.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9.
Go ahead.
I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Read.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer.
And he told the disciples, the followers of Yeshua, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Read.
Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison.
The devil shall cast some of you into prison. They have made this, what you would call this prison industrial complex against us. That's the devil's plan. He did that to the disciples. They cast Christ into prison. They're behind FEMA, the concentration camps. It's Satan. This is his plan. Read.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer.
So don't fear. Read.
Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
And that 10 days represents 10 parts, linking into certain levels of tribulation. That's 10 of the parts that you link up with 2nd Baruch, talking about the 12 parts, the things we would deal with upon the coming of our Lord and Savior. And he will give us a crown if we actually make it through this tribulation. These are the plans of Satan, to set up a prison complex to destroy us. And where's his main hub? It's not America. It's not Washington, D.C. It's not the Pentagon. These are just bases he's utilizing. But the main hub, the main place in which the brain trust is getting all their information is from the Dome of the Rock, Tyre and Zidon, which will be destroyed. Now let's make this clear. How did this tie into Dan? Another thing that I want to tell brothers and sisters. Dan controlled Tyre and Zidon for a long period. Even during the time of the Roman Empire, they controlled those areas. And when Christ was operating and going into Tyre and Zidon, he was dealing with the tribe of Dan and letting them know he's going to destroy them too. And that's why a lot of them in Lebanon and these different areas are being destroyed from these last wars. They're getting their judgment too. So all the cities Christ pointed out is actually being destroyed as we speak. Okay, now I wanted to make a video on this, and we're going to tie this in and show you that it's Dan also. So you got Dan worshiping at the rock. That's the Greek Orthodox priests. You have the Muslims worshiping at Jerusalem. You have the Christians worshiping at Jerusalem, the same rock. And you have the Jewish people worshiping at Jerusalem, the same dome. One world religion. They're making you believe that The one world religion is being ushered in, and we're living in the earth already under a one world religion. They all worshiping the same God. And China, you can forget about it. They straight off say we worshiping the dragon. So all people everywhere is worshiping Satan. All right, I wanted to put that out there to give you all a geographical location according to scriptures and show you how that tie in to things we see with our own eyes. How you have that ship right over the Dome of the Rock, shooting right before your eyes, 1 midnight, 1 hour after the witching hour. What was that about? That's Satan's seat. That's communications with fallen angels. Okay, that's also signs when the scriptures let us know that you will see angels ascending and descending. Chariots, but not just regular angels, fallen angels, demons. All right. So I got a few more things I want to go into, but before I do that, I'm going to ask. I wanted to document this evening. So I'm going to ask, do any of you have any questions based on some of the information I've brought forth so far? Antipas was a follower of Christ during that time that was living in Pergamos. He was one of the brothers within the church who eventually got killed, got martyred by those who were following Satan. Praise be to the Most High. This class will be archived, and hopefully they don't cancel this like they did the Justin TV when we brought out the identification of Satan's seat. What was I reading about the quasars? Let me give it to you. I found an old article. If you type in Google, discovery of Khazar capital unearths more about Ashkenazi Jews. Type that title in. Google this title and you'll get the article. When you see a meteor, is that a fallen angel? 100%. There's no such thing as meteors. That's a lie. They're fallen angels. They use the meteor story as a cover. And they don't really hide it. They tell you in one instance, but then only the inquiring minds figure these things out. Like for instance, the movie so-called Superman, when a so-called meteor fell to the earth, and it was Superman, and he came from the planet, and his family was called El are angels. So they tell you in these so-called fictitious movies and fiction pictures, but there's no such thing as meteorites. Okay. Let me tell you, how many pictures have you seen on the outside of the earth? Do you see any debris floating around? Do you see any rocks floating around in space? That don't exist. Those are fallen angels. Okay? Someone asked, Shabbat Shalom to you. Someone asked, is the Khazar Empire part of the feathers of the eagle spoken of in 2nd Esdras 11? They are the eagle. They are the eagle. Okay, the feathers are, when it goes, those are different parts of history, how one king would come up and another Caesar came up in its stead. But they are the eagle. How did they manage to get rid of us in the Dark Ages? Well, it was a slow process. You can apply that. You can apply that and ask the same question: how did they get rid of us? How did they destroy us in Africa? Okay, the same thing. They take over certain areas politically. Then after they get a certain base, they migrate more of their people in and start building cities. Regenification, just move us out of the way and then just work on the next country. Okay, it's that simple. Until they pushed up against us in the 1600s, King James was really the last, he was the end of the resistance. Okay. Dale says, plus where is the destruction of the earth from these so-called meteors? Meteorites, exactly. It's total garbage. How would you know the difference between Ahiah's chariots from Satan's chariots? Sometimes you wouldn't know the difference. And that's why Jeremiah told us in Jeremiah the 10th chapter, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the Gentiles, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Don't get caught up into it. Number one, when you go into Zechariah, it talks about them building a base in the land of Shinar. And with that particular base, it says there was one chariot that fell to the earth like lead. In Zechariah 5 and Zechariah 6. That was speaking of what we seen in so-called Roswell, when those chariots fell, those ships fell. They were testing over there near Nevada and Arizona. So one thing about the Most High's chariots, they don't crash. Was Satan's seat there during the Ottoman Empire? During the Ottoman Empire, Satan's seat was over in Turkey. Absolutely. Someone asked, is Hannibal a Danite? Hannibal was 100% from the tribe of Dan. Beyond any shadow of a doubt. Also, we got some history that we're going to go into in Lost Tribes of the Promised Land. That's where you got that from, right? Mm-hmm. That showed Dan settling in parts of Eritrea, Africa, and different parts of Ethiopia. Not the Falasha Jews, but the real Danites in Africa. Yes, Hannibal was 100% from the tribe of Dan. Yes. When you look at the coastal areas of the Mediterranean, on all the coast, even through the coast of Turkey, you'll see all the areas. You'll see the areas of Dan that Dan resided in. Someone say they still have the video about Satan's seat on a YouTube page. Well, do me a favor, if you have that particular, how do you get it? Because the Justin TV canceled it. Did you download it immediately after I recorded it? Praise the Most High. That thing was totally detailed to the point, even with more scriptures with it too. Okay, do me a favor and send that link to gatheringasone@AOL.com for me, please. Sons of the Most High 144. Thwada. Well, what we're going to do now, I think we have weathered the storm with YouTube targeting our pages. So what we're going to do now, we're going to begin to slowly load A Gathering 144 again, so that we can bring all these pages back to the main hub under the elders of the church. We just had to give it some space because it was a clear and apparent attack against our work through YouTube. And I know they trying to shake everything we doing right now. In an election year, and Barack Obama, boy, they like, listen, we got to make sure we destabilize his whole page until this election is over. and so there's a spirit attack and that's trying to stop this from going forward, because we're still waiting on this page to get finished. So I'm going to find out what's going on with this brother that's doing the page. But if it's not going to get done within the next week, I'm thinking about just paying out just a couple of $1,000 and have someone just build the page, put their time into it, and do exactly what we need in no time. We're going to have to just pay for it, because I know a lot of people out there are good at putting videos together, whatever the case is, but I mean putting pages together, but we don't want just a page. Okay? All right. Are we going to archive the advanced class before this one? It's archived and it's actually released. So once this is done, you can actually go to this page, use the same password, and get the last archived advanced lesson on the time, which was it was a pretty good class through the Spirit of the Most High. That's good. You got a degree in engineering. Send your email. Let's talk about it. I want to say this also. You notice, brothers and sisters, that for the last couple of months, even though I have Mitris here, you notice I haven't been wearing Mitris for the last month or two. And I don't know if you'll recognize it. Let me tell you something about it. I wanted to make a point. With the truth, it doesn't matter what you have on. The truth is the truth. And I wanted to put that out there. You get these people who view our videos and they're looking for something wrong since they can't attack the doctrine. So they'll look at what's on your head and they'll just focus on what's on your head and try to make something out of it because they can't deal with the doctrine. And it's not like some higher understanding comes to our being when we put a Mitri on. Okay? And I want to make that clear. It's just we choose to wear Mitri sometimes. But if wearing a Mitri will be a stumbling block to my brother or sister, and they'll just focus more so on the Mitri than what we have on, I'd rather not even put it on, because it makes no difference. And that's the point I wanted to make with that. It really don't. All right, what else do we have here? Someone's saying being wise as serpent and harmless as dove. That's true too. When you go in certain areas, you got to know, okay, if I, I'm not going to run around looking like a sheik and make myself a target. Be wise. But again, I will never speak against Dimitri because the scriptures clearly define and backs Dimitri 100%. It tell you in the book of Zechariah. It tell you that after Joshua became clean, he put a fair mitre on his head. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think it allowed, not only that, when our people put it on, it belongs on us. You can say what you want, but I've been looking at some of how these guys been wrapping these turbans on their head, and it looks like it's a mess. Stuff twisted all up on top of their head, and it don't even look right. But I'm being straight with you. I mean, and I know there's something spiritual about it. Because, I remember one day I walked into a 7-Eleven with Dimitri on. And the Muslim guy behind the counter, his eyes almost popped out of his head. Looked like he thought he seen a ghost. And I'm checking out my brothers who want to look against it because brothers are putting on something regal, something scriptural, a crown that belonged to us spiritually, which is the mitre for priests. And how brothers want to look at that and try to demonize it or make it something other than Israel putting back on their ancient garments. They want to attack that. But they don't attack the brothers that are running around with yarmulkes on their head talking about Yahweh. I need y'all to notice that. You got brothers running around with Jewish yarmulkes and no one's attacking them on their headpiece. And I don't attack anyone on their headpiece. I'm like, listen, teach the knowledge of the Most High. As long as you don't have the crown of your head covered. I'm just making a point of that to show brothers and sisters that it's not the outward appearance. It's the inward man. It's not the outward appearance. Yeah, wisdom spoke in Proverbs chapter 8. That is correct. Okay. Oh, okay. A brother says Arabs compliment you when I have mine on. Yeah. Someone says I went to a Seventh-day Adventist church, and the usher had what? Had on a yarmulke. Interesting. Interesting. Well, again, I wanted to apologize that we didn't go into the full Dan study because I want to go back there because it's a lot of information, but we're going to bring it forth very soon. Do you all have any other questions so we can prepare for our lesson tomorrow for the Sabbath? Someone says, I also have a document confirming Christ's name as Yeshua. What document do you have? Sons of the Most High 38. Even though it's written in the Hebrew Matthews. There was a Matthews that was done in Hebrew, and it said Yeshua. It didn't say Yehoshua. It didn't say Yeshua. It said Yeshua in the Hebrew. But what information do you have? What documentation do you have Sons of the Most High 38. Will Newman. I think we heard of that before, right?
Yeah, I think that's the article inside of Illuminati too.
The Illuminati too.
Mm-hmm.
There's an article on Yeshaya too.
I believe it's the same article written by the God's Word.
And it says Yeshaya's name on it? We
I
know
don't
Ahia.
They did Ahia. I'm not sure about Yeshaya.
Man, this is blowing me away. May 10th, in the article, the false teachings of church Christianity, Mr. Will Newman says that Christ's name was Yeshaya. I think Will Newman been looking at our teachings.
Mm-hmm.
And he spelled it exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, brother. This is good. Christ's Hebrew name. The Christian churches are guilty of suppressing the only name by which men can be saved, Acts 4 and 12, and of breaking the first commandment by worshiping Jesus, who they claim to be the Son above the Father. This instead of living like Christ in obedience to the Father's commandments. The name of God venerated in churches, Jesus, derives from Zeus. The Greek name of the god of lightning, Satan, Luke 10 and 18. Many Christian ministers, Billy Graham, and Catholic priests are trained in mind control and occultism. Some intentionally summon the demonic spirit named Jesus to fill their churches while falsely calling it the Holy Spirit. And that links to the Illuminati mind control slave, Springmeier, page 178. We interviewed him on one of our shows. Springmeier. Christ's name could not have been Jesus, as the letter J did not exist until about 1500 years after his resurrection. It is Yeshaya, Hebrew for Savior. Hosea 2:16, Acts 26:14, Luke 1:47, Matthew 1:21 and 9. The name Yeshaya was translated into Greek as Isaiah, and then to Jesus by the Vatican. The Jewish faction helps observe the true name of some by calling him Yeshua in modern Hebrew. The O or U sound came via Greek influence and is not found in ancient Hebrew, which had only one neutral vowel sound. Interesting. I think I need to give my brothers and sisters this link from henrymaccow.com. Praise the Most High. I think I'll just bring forth some of this early tomorrow also. Hey, Brother Izzy. I hope you were able to get that link I've just linked. All right? All right, it's early in the morning, so we do have to get some rest where we are. But if you don't mind, I'll answer a few more questions if you have them. And afterwards, we'll just say a prayer and end this out with a prayer. Thank you for that reference, brother. I seen the Ahia under Will Newman, but I didn't know that he also are coming with Yeshaya too. As long as the word get out, it doesn't matter who bring it. You sent an email earlier with the PDF attached. Well, right now we're going through the email right now in Shamwa based on our email being hacked. So we try to put that in order. So if we don't get back with you almost immediately, please be a little patient with us. We're trying to get the email back in order after the hack. What exactly was in the PDF, Shamwal? Let's get the white horse in Revelations real quick. What exactly was in the PDF, Shamuel? He got kicked out. Why is that? What happened? Dell, did you kick him out? I didn't kick anyone out. Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't use the word sex. Sex is a word that actually links to 666. Matter of fact, the word sex is 666 in Greek. So it's not sex. Sex is unlawful pleasure. Now, if you say reprocreation or intercourse, that would be a more correct misnomer when it comes to that, not sex. All right. But consummation, matter of fact, it tells you that in a Bible dictionary, that marriage is constantly nourished by intercourse. When two flesh becomes one, there's only one way two flesh becomes one. Okay? What's that about the white horse? Yeah.
Revelations chapter 6, verse 1.
Wait, I'm a little tired here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder.
Okay, the Lamb is Christ. Go ahead.
One of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Read.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And that,
Okay, so what are you saying in particular? Like, who's the horseman? This is not like Christianity that speaks of particular horsemen. This is actually breaking down the levels of ills that will hit the earth during the tribulation time, from the time that Christ was crucified up until the time where he would come conquering and save us out of our tribulation. So it's not just speaking of four particular events, so to speak, or separate events. It's talking about a culmination of things that will happen from the time he was crucified up until the time he would return. So that's a whole lesson in itself. That links to the time of tribulation, some of the evils that would be let loose in the earth. Let's see here. But that's a whole lesson in itself. I definitely don't have time to go into the horsemen right now. Well, the Lamb is actually letting you know the things that will happen within the earth. The Lamb is explaining what will happen before his coming. So these are just events that leads to Christ's coming. It's not about whether or not it's good or evil. It's prophecy that leads to his coming. We are archiving everything tonight. Okay, any more questions before we yield until tomorrow? We got a long lesson tomorrow. So the DC area, just send an email. We have someone. I'm going to link in. Were you able to contact the brother from the Delaware?
I was able to send him an email, but I still
okay.
call him.
Okay, we're going to see if we can link up that brother in Delaware to deal with the tri-state area, even going into the DC area. So we're going to put that together. Matter of fact, I'll meet with him Monday or Tuesday. I'll make that happen so that we can get that whole area locked down. I'm sorry to hear about death in your family. Sorry to hear about that. Go to Zechariah 5 and 3. This will be the last one.
Zechariah chapter 5 verse 3.
We'll be able to talk with Christ, who will be ruling from the earth. Read.
Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stilleth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as one on that side.
No, those are the righteous chariots right there. When you read down further, it talks about the chariots from the woman that built a base in the land of Shinar. That woman is a spirit of Babylon who created ships, and those ships are the demonic ones, not Zechariah 5 and 3. Okay, I'll contact you, Sebastian, and see if we can link in a brother in the DC area. I'll do that. Okay, Sebastian, when you say that you're here with the sons of the Most High, where is here? Did you travel some other place than the last area?
Earlier in the message you were saying that he was France.
Yeah, in France, yeah. Okay, so the brother's there with him. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so he's still in the same place. All right. Well, we're going to get some rest, brothers and sisters. Okay, Shamu, send your PDF again, if you don't mind, so that it'll be at the top of the email, because our email is a little scrambled based on what happened earlier when someone hacked our account. For those who were there, for those who have received an email from the Gathering of Christ Church telling you to give you your password or whatever, ignore that email, erase it, don't follow it. Our email was hacked. Okay? Well, may the Most High continue to bless you all. We're going to end it with a prayer.